Hey, Dan Anton here, and in this video series I'm going to go over creating PBNs and the proper way to do this. Been getting a lot of emails lately from people asking about PBNs and what's going on with all these different PBNs getting de-indexed. A lot of people are asking about how to set it up properly, if they should set it up properly. Is it worth it? So I'm here to tell you that the juice is still worth the squeeze. So all these sites that begin de-indexed, that's really Google just making an example out of them. Some of you probably remember going back a few years, Build My Rank, and they were a huge PBN that got too big for their own good, and Google couldn't allow that anymore and made an example out of them. Same thing happened just recently with some of these other larger networks. In 2-3 more years, it's probably going to be the same story, so hopefully it's not your network, hopefully it's not my network. But so we're going to take some precautions to kind of mitigate that risk. The big thing really is just keep your mouth shut. Don't get too big and don't brag about your network. I see the irony in this video I'm making right now, but I view the risk versus the reward, and I think my benefit to you guys to make your own PBNs is worth it to me because I have a lot of different PBNs. I'm very diversified in my business, so if they want to make an example out of me, it wouldn't be the worst thing. But I'm relatively small anyway, and all my PBNs I keep really small, smaller nodes, and I don't wave a red flag in Google's face and say, here I am, come get me. So for that reason, I'll close the doors on any kind of service I offer that involves a PBN, or I'll also just not publicly let anyone know about it. It's just for my own local offline clients that I use, so I'm just ranking sites, in the shadows for local clients. And that's kind of what I expect you to be able to use with this process for. And you can crush it. You can absolutely, make a very good living with local SEO. And some of you are already doing that, great. So, you maybe pick up a few things from this series, great. It's to your benefit. So in the first lesson, I'm going to talk about finding domains. How do you get them, where you should be picking them up. You should use auctions versus some kind of scanners or bulk deals and buying them from people. There are lots of schools on thought of that. I'm just going to take you through the process we use. And like I said, we own over 1,000 domains. The de-index rate is very small. It's just a natural process of sites getting de-indexed. And the sites that we do get de-indexed, the percentage is so small it doesn't really matter, but it's only as a result of us just buying shitty domains. Sometimes, I have a VA who buys them now because, when you're first starting out your PBN, you've got 10 sites, you're looking at every backlink profile, with a fine-tooth comb, and you're making sure it's perfect. After a few hundred, you're just like, all right, screw it, VA, these are your parameters, all right, buy based on this criteria. And sometimes, you're going to assume a little risk and get some bad apples. You just toss it and move on. So that's how that goes. So by and large, this process is exactly what we use, and it works. Okay, so you can obviously replicate this process. I view this as being the simplest way to get the most bang for your buck. So if your time is worth money, which it is, this process lets you spend less time doing it and just getting the most out of what you need. All right, so that's lesson 1 is finding domains. Lesson 2 is going to be where to host the domains. If you know anything about SEO hosting, you know that there's a debate whether you should use SEO hosting for unique C-class IPs or some other kind of hosting. All right, spoiler alert, don't use SEO hosting. It's just the big red flag to Google, and they're kind of coming after, they've been coming after those guys, so just don't do it. There's so many other options, and we'll get into that. And then in the lesson 3, I'm going to talk about setting up the domains. With WordPress is going to be the preferred platform for this. In an ideal super PBN of the highest quality, you're going to have other things. You're going to have Joomla and WordPress and other CMSs and just regular HTML files. But for the purpose of getting the most bang for your buck, just use WordPress. It's going to get the job done. People have been ranking sites with it for years and will continue to do so. I'm going to talk about the must-have plugins for your PBN. So these are plugins that you really absolutely want to install on these sites. And then the next video is going to be putting content on your sites. Okay, so unique content versus spun content, and there's a debate right now whether you could ever use spun content on your site, and I'm just going to talk about that because I think that you can get away with it, and it just depends where you're getting it from. I mean, there's a difference between pretty good spun content and just like complete garbage where you would never want to put on your site. Unique content is obviously always the best, but again, you want to get, you want to try to find that line between getting the most value without breaking the bank. So we're going to try to find that sweet spot for you. All right, and that's going to cover this video series. At the end of it, you should be able to purchase, set up, and start ranking sites with your own PBN. After you could get the hang of it, you can build like a 10 site PBN and probably start ranking some smaller local terms. Ideally, you want to at least be probably 25 domains, depending on the quality and everything like that. But this should get you started. It's free content. There's an opt-in box underneath this video if you want to get some information that I don't share on these videos. So there's some stuff every once in a while that I just won't share openly. I'll put that in the emails. So if you opt in, great. If not, this content is still free for you. So you're welcome to go through the video series and take what you will from it. In lesson 1, you should see a link for it over on the sidebar. So feel free to get started, and I hope you get a lot out of this. Thanks.